Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host. And of course, we're back here at the Baseball Hut, too, to talk about the Major League Baseball draft. It is now June 19th, and in about 3 weeks, we will have, in less than 3 weeks, in 20 days, we will have the Major League Amateur Draft for 2023. It seems like a foregone conclusion who the first three picks will be in this draft. First two picks. Uh, Seems that the Nationals will take Paul Skeens at number 2, and the Pittsburgh Pirates will take Dylan Cruz from, of course, both of them are from the Louisiana State University. So that seems to be a pretty far gone conclusion that those two kids, those two young guys, are going to go to those teams. But you never know. You never know. Life is full of surprises. As we know, there was a lot of surprises in the draft last season that affected quite a few teams. Kuma Rocket selected number 3 by the Texas Rangers last year threw quite the monkey wrench, quite quite threw quite the curveball to the rest of the draft. To where, as you know, I mentioned a few times during these particular videos that the New York Mets were able to select Kevin Parada at number 11, just based off of that. It was like a domino effect. So we have here from FutureStarsSeries.com, and this is another mock draft from somebody written by it doesn't matter who wrote it. The 2023 MLB Draft, Mock Draft 3.0. Max Clark surges. We'll skip to the parts we want to skip to, which is the players. At number 1, the surging Pittsburgh Pirates. They're pretty good, folks. They're a pretty good team now. Right now, they have a good chance to get the postseason. At least get one of the wild cards. I don't think that they need to be a little bit careful. They want to be buyers getting into late July, early August, because you don't want to trade some piece that you think is going to be good down the road for somebody that's going to be a rental. You want to bring in somebody that you know is going to be there for another year or so. But at number 1, the Pirates will take, and this, as you know, this is the first year of the lottery draft. So some team that, for instance, may not be nearly as bad could get a number 1 pick. For instance, next year, in all likelihood, the Oakland A's will probably have the worst record, but they might not get the number 1 pick. They might not be able to select the number 1 player. It might be some other team that'll select number 1. You never know. This is how it's different now with it's a way to incentivize not tanking. So at number 1, look at this. This is a little different. I wasn't expecting this. According to this draft, Max Clark will go number 1 to the Pittsburgh Pirates, not Dylan Cruz. Well, this is quite the wrinkle, quite the monkey wrench into this. Max Clark, an outfielder from Franklin Community. LSU outfielder Dylan Cruz hasn't been quite the wrecking ball that he was early on in the season. Since May 1st, he's running a 3.30. That's not great. That may be great for the majors. But for college baseball, when you're using the aluminum bat, not so good. Obviously still gaudy, but not quite the generational slash we saw through April. Has that opened the door just a tick? As has been suggested elsewhere, Clark is in play with the first pick. The kid has an ego, but in a good way. He plays with a chip on his shoulder to prove every doubter wrong. It's not too dissimilar from how Henry Davis positioned himself in 21. If Clark is willing to shave something in the neighborhood of $2 million off the first pick in the draft and afford Pittsburgh essentially at least 2 more high-profile preps in later rounds, is it worth walking away from Cruz? Well, that's interesting. This is a little bit, and some more interesting stuff. Look at this. At number 2, the Washington Nationals will take Dylan Cruz at number 2. Wow. There's also no circumstances where Dylan Cruz falls past the second pick. Nationals have scouted South Brunswick outfielder Walker Jenkins extensively and have had brass out to see LSU righty Paul Skeens and Florida outfielder Wyatt Langford on several occasions. That said, those efforts are likely for naught if Cruz is in the board at number 2. The Nationals are squarely in wait-and-see mode, but if Cruz is gone here, Langford seems to be the guy brought up most in the draft riffraff. Well, that's interesting. So this is a little different draft. At number 3, the Tigers. That's been pretty obvious that the Tigers are going to be selecting Wyatt Langford, an outfielder from Florida. The Tigers have been out to see Virginia catcher Kyle Teal on a number of occasions, even as recently as the Super Regionals. That said, it seems as though those efforts are more of a backup plan as Tigers front office members are purportedly nervous that Langford won't get to them at number 3. GM Scott Harris is embarking on his first MLB draft for the organization, and it would only make sense for him to follow his analytic roots and take a hitter here. Maybe the team could entertain an underslot move of a Tommy Troy or Matt Shaw in the event Langford is gone and Teal isn't their cup of tea. And number 4, the Texas Rangers, another team that has had a big year in Major League Baseball, and that's the Texas Rangers. They will select, and this has kind of been pretty known, as Walker Jenkins, an outfielder from South Brunswick. Outside of an unforeseen player being available at this pick, all the smoke for the better part of the 2 months has been how enamored the Rangers are with Jenkins. He's an 80-grade human being and could be one of the rare high school bats that moves quickly through a system. Paul Skeens is still on the board in this scenario, and from a 10-foot view, it seems awfully unlikely he falls to the number 5 pick. But that's how mocks work. Maybe he's too talented for the Rangers to pass up, regardless of Jenkins' availability here. The Rangers do like Teal a great deal, but it would likely take a perfect storm of sorts to see him be the pick at number 4. At number 5, the Minnesota Twins, the first place Twins at the moment, will select Paul Skeens from LSU. The Twins are in such a unique position with the 5th overall pick. They had the 4th most money to spend in this draft, and they're sitting behind a team in the Rangers who do not have a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Texas has the 16th biggest bonus pool. The Twins can essentially buy whatever player they want to the spot. But with Skeens on the board, shenanigans won't be necessary. This is the 2nd mock in a row where Skeens just so happens to still be available at 5. Should it not be Skeens? Now, a lot of people I've been reading that are really high on him. He could be one of the best pitchers that have come along in a long time. We'll mention about the draft. This draft is not considered to have a very deep pitching draft. This is a draft that's considered to have very good prep players, meaning high school players, and very good shortstops. But it's not a very good pitching. It's not a great pitcher's draft. Should it not be Skeens, the Twins have been loosely connected to a number of players here. Ole Miss shortstop Jacob Gonzalez gets some heat here, as does Teal once more. Now, at number 6, it seems that the A's have focused in on Kyle Teal. He's a catcher from Virginia. It seems like he's going to be the guy that they're going to draft. Every mock draft that I've read, that he's not going to get past the A's. And as an organization, in terms of their scouting, they'll find a good player here. As you know, they're not going to be in Oakland too much longer. They're going to be moving to Las Vegas, I would think. They'll probably spend one more year with the in that monstrosity there in Oakland, and then they'll be leaving. But it seems that here, the Oakland A's will take Kyle Teal. Like I said, he's a catcher from Virginia. So that is something to keep an eye on when we get closer to draft day. At number 7, the resurgent Cincinnati Reds. A lot of good teams at the top of this list. A lot of teams playing really well. And as you know, the Cincinnati Reds have won 7 games in a row. They've played really well. And they will select Red Lowry, right-handed pitcher from Wake Forest. The Reds have reportedly circled pitching as a point of emphasis in this draft. And most scouts believe Lowry is not only the most complete starting pitcher outside of Skeens available in this class, but could also move the quickest of any of one player too. The Reds aren't too far off. They have a young core that is performing this year, and they could be on the precipice of a competitive window. Also, I would mention today is Monday, June 19th, like I said, and Joey Votto has returned. So he's off the IL. Interesting to see how he plays now with this young group of guys and see how much Joey has left. At number 8, the Kansas City Royals. They're really bad Kansas City Royals. Oh, boy. This is one of the teams that is not playing well. And they will select second baseman Tommy Troy from Stanford. The Royals are among the most difficult teams to project on a year-to-year basis. They take obscure routes to their selections and have been tight-lipped throughout the year. Troy is a name who has been seen a surge in the public and private discourse in recent weeks and could be in play anywhere in the top 15 picks. Back in April, Kansas City did spend a great deal of time sitting in on Jesuit righty Noble Meyer, but not much has come out of that and talking with some different scouts in the area that track who has been in to see him more and more. Still obviously a name for the peripherals here. At number 9, the Colorado Rockies will select Chase Dollander, right-hander from Tennessee. I was reading earlier in the year, just doing my little research with the draft, that Dollander coming into the year was going to go very, very high in this draft. He has come down a lot. He was talked about top 3, and he's taking a big step back. I mean, 9th is not too shabby, but it seems that the Rockies will take him, and he's out of Tennessee with the Volunteers. And number 10, the Miami Marlins, the team that is 10 games over 500, the first time since 2011. And they will select Enrique Bradfield Jr., an outfielder from Vanderbilt. It's no secret the Marlins have been searching for their center field of the future for a couple years now. Selecting Bradford Jr. would solve that problem in spades. Of note, with Miami, they purportedly kicked around some under slot ideas here with their eyes set on some high-profile talent with their second, third, and fourth rounds. Don't be surprised they don't something a little. Don't be surprised if they do something. They wrote this so terribly. One name that continues to garner attention here is J.W. Mitchell's third baseman, Aiden Miller. At number 11, I'll tell you, this guy, he's not a good writer. That's why, like I said, it doesn't matter. At number 11, the second place Los Angeles Angels, who've actually played well. They have a wild card spot right now with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. And at number 11, they will select Aiden Miller, third baseman from J.W. Mitchell. I think it's a perfect world the Angels would have their choice of Dollander or Lauder here. That's the buzz surrounding the team. In this circumstance, both are gone. Miller gets a chatter around this range. At number 12, another team that's playing really well. The first place Arizona Diamondbacks. And they will select Colin Hawk, a shortstop from Parkview. The Diamondbacks have reportedly circled pitching as one of their greatest needs in this draft. And the case can be made that Erston Waltrip being on the board here makes sense. That said, the healings around Hawk and the Diamondbacks is too great to pass up. If the very loose rumors of the Dollander slide have any legs, this is probably the floor, as folks in the know have suggested Arizona really likes the Tennessee righty and would snatch him up at 12 if he were available at this late stage. Again, Colin Hawk will be selected at number 12 by the Diamondbacks. At number 13, right-handed pitcher will be selected by the Cubs, and that is Noble Meyer from Jesuit. At number 14, the Boston Red Sox. Now, the Boston Red Sox, I've seen this, that they're going to select Blake Mitchell, a catcher from Sinton. I've seen him attached a lot to the Red Sox. I'd be surprised if he doesn't get picked by the Sox. The last place Sox, but they've actually played, they're above 500. And number 15, the White Sox, the Chicago White Sox will select Grand Canyon's Jacob Wilson. And we'll see how that goes. Interesting. The White Sox GM Rick Hahn are in a bit of a pickle. The team is underperforming. The potential Tim Anderson window on the south side is closing. He's set to become a free agent after the 24 season if a new contract can't be reached. For that reason, we think the Wilson slide stops here. There's potential here for a small haircut, too, as the Sox target over the haircut. What, are they going to a barbershop? What the hell is that? Let's move on. This is really bad writing, I got to say. At number 16, this is not the kind of things you see in any kind of draft, any other channel. At number 16, from Strawberry Crest, the Giants will select shortstop Arjun Namala. With this being GM Pete Patilla's first stab at the MLB draft with the Giants, my gut tells me, not mine, So it's written here. He's going to go hard for athleticism, up the middle traits. The model checks both of those boxes and can find success at the big league level. Go a number of different routes with power being the carrying tool. So that's interesting. At number 17, another team that's doing really well. The Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles had the best, have the best farm system in Major League Baseball, and they will select shortstop, another shortstop, even though they have Gunnar Henderson and Jackson Holiday, they're going to select another shortstop. They will select Jacob Gonzalez, a shortstop from Ole Miss. The Orioles seem to be in that perfect spot in the draft where a number of super talented bats could fall into their laps. In this case, is Gonzalez. A couple other names to watch here. And the Miles slide in this mock is worth noting. The Orioles are said to really value his skill sets and have the chance to land him at 17 would be quite the development. The Birds also reportedly like what they've seen at TCU's third baseman Braden Taylor, as well as Arizona outfield Chase Davis. Here's the ultimate sleeper projection. Baltimore likes Michigan State infielder Mitch Jebb a whole lot. Watch for him to potentially come off the board before the team in over slot luxury in the second round. Now, in the meanwhile, as again do this draft, please, of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut too and like this video. I will have a live stream on July 9th for the draft on this channel. Not on the Baseball Hut, but on this channel, the Baseball Hut too. And we will go through the draft together live this year. At number 18, the Brewers will select outfielder Nolan Shano from Florida Atlantic. All signs point toward the Brewers taking a bat in this spot, and Shano has seen a steady climb in the front office perception on a week-over-week basis. They also could take shortstop Sammy Stufara in this spot. At number 19, the sneaky Tampa Bay Rays will take right-handed pitcher from Florida, Erston Waltrip. At number 20, the Toronto Blue Jays will take Chase Davis, an outfielder from Arizona. Blue Jays have been out in droves to see Davis play, and their model-friendly approach to drafting certainly supports the notion they'd be intrigued by a slugging corner outfielder. Toronto spent a ton of time getting to know Maryland's second baseman, Matt Shaw, too, and he's certainly in play. Should the Jays go the route of a high school hitter, Homewood Floresmore outfielder Dylan Head seems to get the most run here. At number 21, another team that's really bad. The St. Louis Cardinals will take Bryce Eldridge, a first baseman, right-handed pitcher from James Madison High School. That seems to be something that's starting to pop up now. As you're starting to see young kids and young players wanting to be like Shohei Ohtani, trying to be a position player and be a pitcher. And here is a interesting guy that's here, and Bryce Eldridge. At number 22, the Mariners will select the coolest name in the draft, Colt Emerson. I've said this a few times. What a great name. And he's from John Glenn. What a great name. That's the kind of name you see for like a football player or like an Old West like character. Colt Emerson took out his Colt revolver. Why do they call him Colt? Because he carries a Colt revolver. I can see that. That's a great name. At number 25, the Cleveland Guardians will select Joe Whitman, a left-handed pitcher from Kent State. At number 24, now this is a little bit of a surprise. I've seen this particular player mentioned with the New York Yankees. The Braves will select Dylan Head, an outfielder from Homewood Floresmore. Well, he'll turn out to be something. I don't know what the Braves do with these players. Well, they'll move them eventually. At number 25, the San Diego Padres, another team that's really struggling, will select second baseman from Maryland, Matt Shaw. At number 26, the New York Yankees. Holy cow. The Yankees will select Braden Taylor, third baseman from TCU. The Yankees would be elated if a power-hitting lefty thumper was available here, and Taylor fits that bill and then some. Taylor has suitors in the top 15 picks, as well as a few in the 16 to 25 range. He could be off the board a full hour before the Yankees pick. But this is a mock draft and things happen. I would say this is going to be a long draft. This is going to be a long night for all of us. I think the draft will start at 8 p.m. I think they'll have the run-up show before that. So I'll come on a little before 8. I don't want to sit here and just, I'm not the greatest streamer. So I just try to do the best I can. At number 27, another guy that's got a great name, Kevin McGonigal, was selected by the Philadelphia Phillies, a second baseman from Monsignor Bonnier. McGonigal. Isn't that a character from The Simpsons? At number 28, the Houston Nationals will take Bryce Matthews, a shortstop from Nebraska. At number 29, again, the Mariners, who got a lot of picks at the end of the first draft, will select Walker Martin, a shortstop from Eton. At number 30, let's see who number 30 is. Another Mariner, Brooke Wilkin, a third baseman from Wake Forest. At number 31, the Tampa Bay Sneaky Rays will select Ty Pete, a shortstop from Trinity Christian. And now the thing I'm excited about is get to see a New York Met get selected. At the 32nd pick in the MLB 2023 draft, the New York Mets will select Yohandy Morales, a third baseman from Miami. I've seen his name attached a lot to the Mets. Mets are said to really like Morales and what his athleticism and power potential could eventually build to. The Mets in their deep pockets can afford to take some risk in the draft. Keep an eye out for Thomas White here, as he's arguably the top left-handed high school pitcher available in this class. While he may be an over-slot selection for the Mets at pick number 32, he provides the star ceiling that they should reach for in every draft. Now, the thing about the Mets farm system, they don't have a lot of pitching. A lot of the pitchers that they have in their farm are, at best, number 3 starters. Most of them are number 4 and 5 stars. That's not good. Thomas White would be a guy that could really be a big infusion of oomph to their draft and to their farm system. Obviously, when they could not come to any kind of agreement with Kumaraka 2 years ago, they did not have a good draft after the 21 draft. And because of that, everything was, predicated on them signing Rocker. And when they didn't sign him, they undervalued all the picks after that. Now, last year, they selected some really interesting minor leaguers now that are going to the Mets system, one of which his name is Christian Scott. You need to keep an eye on if you're a Mets fan or just Major League Baseball fan. He's coming to the Mets system. I think right now he's in Brooklyn. No, he's not in Brooklyn. He's in St. Lucie right now, I believe. I could be wrong. But he is coming to the Mets farm system rather quickly. So you want to keep an eye on him. At number 33, the Brewers again will select Jack Hurley, an outfielder from Virginia Tech. And also about the Mets, they will have a lot of picks they'll have 7 selections after this pick from there until number 40, until round 4. There's only 20 rounds in the MLB draft now. At number 34, the Twins will select Trent Carraway, shortstop third baseman from Huntington Beach. The Marlins will select shortstop Sammy Stafar with number 35. And number 36, the Dodgers. Now, I would mention about the Mets and the Dodgers, they got taxed, competitive balancing tax. So that's why they didn't have a pick in the first round. And the Dodgers will select from Westfield an outfielder named Johnny Formello. And number 37, the Tigers will select third baseman from Nebraska, Max Anderson. At number 38, the Cincinnati Reds will select Kendall George, an outfielder. And at number 39, the A's will select George Lombard Jr., a shortstop from Gulliver Prep. I've seen him go as high as the Yankees. So that's another name that's attached to the Yankees. So keep an eye on all these guys and really on your teams and see where where you're at. But as you know, I'm very interested in the draft, and you should be too, because a lot of these guys are going to be going through your system, and they're going to be they're going to influence what your teams do in the future. If there's some big and here's the thing, a number 1 pick doesn't mean he's going to be a number 1 player. It's not going to be your best player in your system. It might be a guy that's selected 15 to 20. Could be like your best player 5 years from now. It could be on your, could be in your rotation, or could be an everyday player who's a star. There's no guarantees in this particular draft. This is the most unpredictable draft in Major League Sports. I would mention I have the baseball. I have another third channel called the Prospect Hut. And if you're a Mets fan, you want to follow it. I do little videos on different prospects and little shorts on different players in the Mets farm system that maybe the names you haven't seen. And just little clips, little shorts of highlights of things I've taken from the Mets, and hopefully you like it. And I'll put the link into the description. I hope you would subscribe. But I want to thank you for coming by. Please, of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut 2. Channel's doing great. And we're going to have a big live stream on July 9th. We're also going to have a big live stream on August 1st at 6 p.m. We will be there on this channel for the deadline, for the trade deadline. And that's going to be exciting. It always is, and this year will be no different. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to Baseball Hut 2. Thank you. Have a good day, and I'll see you later.